Okay, thank you all for coming today. My name is Odette Kouzou and I'm a curator and an artist. Thank you, Ili and your Agree and your associates Kostadina and Yorgos for their help. And I would like to add that this is the first project of Babo Collective. And I would like to thank my friend and associate Niki Subasi for the help in this production. So Babo Collective is a non-profit organization based in Athens with the purpose of supporting artists and various art workers through producing contemporary art exhibitions, events, performances, and initiating research and collaborations, as well as exploring the possibilities of public and educational programs. So the title of the event is Artist Dialogues, and it is a series of conversations aiming to create encounters between local and international artists, working through the lens of feminism in the intersection of performance art, ritual, and writing. This is the first part of the series, and we will present the interdisciplinary artistic practice of three international artists and researchers based in New York: Luisa Marinho, Cornelia Barber, and Alexandra Tatarsky. So we're going to watch the work of Luisa Marinho, who is an artist and a scholar from Brazil. She studied performance studies at the School of the Arts and performance art at the University of Rio de Janeiro. She's interested in performance and writing and focuses on investigating memory, poetics, and epistemologies of the diasporic and native Brazilian religions. So the title of the work is Buraco, and it is a work in progress, a video art created by Luisa Marinho and Gabriel Simi, about the magical and speculative elements of Encantaria, Enchantment, a religion from the north of Brazil in the colonizer's land. Shot in Lisbon, this experimental poetic proposition brings reflections on memory, narrative flow, historiography, and oral history. So we're going to watch the video first, and then we will call the artist on Skype to talk about her work.
O buraco faz dobra na carne do mundo. É distúrbio topográfico, coisa pra dentro, avesso. A mãe e a sombra. A beira que traz o tropeço é o espaço negativo. O orifício, o cavado. O túnel que se atravessa para a morte, onde o vento sopra em silêncio. É a quebra da pata do cavalo, a fenda de onde se fica à espreita, o esconderijo, a rota de fuga. O buraco não é fora do mundo, nada é inteiro. Ele é sua própria beira, o vazio incompleto. O tudo, nada contém. É fresta pedindo para ser aberta e a abertura aumentando. O abismo sem retorno, o que suga para dentro. O vácuo que puxa. O buraco é o caminho do encanto. Desde sempre a nação portuguesa tem o dom de esperar. Aguardam os tempos de glória, o nevoeiro. Na terra dos seus sonhos, a grandeza conquistadora não será jamais interrompida, e o homem lusitano, um dia, voltará a ser a medida do mundo. Anseiam pelo retorno do rei Dom Sebastião, que tinha 24 anos quando sonhou com a guerra. Seu espírito vaidoso elaborava mirabolantes delírios de conquista. Violento, ignorou a lógica para desembarcar no deserto africano. Na disputa pelo poder, queria matar mouros e fincar sua cruz de Cristo. Na batalha, os caminhos levavam à derrota que estava cada vez mais próxima. Tentando evitar a crueldade do destino, o rei Sebastião reúne seus melhores homens, entra em seu barco e se afasta da costa. À deriva, um insignificante barco é soprado para longe. O povo órfão adoeceu de saudades daquele império colonial que nunca veio. Rezaram por um sinal do rei. Teria ele se perdido no deserto? Ou, quem sabe, está à espera do melhor momento para um retorno triunfal? Ele vai voltar. Eles disseram em todos os séculos que passaram e dizem. Ele vai voltar. Como não volta, constroem memórias, pintam paredes e erguem monumentos de pedra para afastar a melancolia que é esperar a salvação. Mas eles não sabem, é segredo, que o rei não desapareceu. Ele se encantou. Dom Sebastião abandonou o espetáculo triste e misterioso do mundo para abraçar sua sorte. Nas areias quentes, ele despertou. Como não pode ser visto, para fazer seu trabalho, pega emprestado a carne dos humanos, toca em seus corações e domina seus corpos como uma energia. Monta nas pessoas, ficando assim, livre para agir no mundo do visível.
Ontem, perto da meia-noite, um homem de 24 anos subiu à estátua para tirar uma selfie e o resultado foi este. Uma imagem que estava enquadrada dentro destes dois arcos, mas já não está. A estátua do rei Dom Sebastião, ou os cacos em que se tornou, desfeita perante o olhar incrédulo de quem por aqui passava numa noite quente. A estátua do rei Dom Sebastião tinha 150 anos.
Sebastião invadiu sua cabeça e tocou seu coração. E então o rapaz perdeu o domínio do seu corpo. Transformou a peça urbana em fragmento, derrubou sua antiga imagem, fez buraco. Buraco que o rei encontrou na nossa margem do oceano quando a tempestade que o arrastou para longe da batalha no deserto teve fim. Desorientado e cheio de esperanças, pensou que retomaria a guerra pelo território africano. Mas lá já não estava. As marés o levaram para o outro lado do Atlântico para encontrar seu destino. No momento que sua espada tocou a escaldante areia da praia, a terra do novo mundo estrondou. Uma fenda fina rasgou o solo, aumentou, até crescer em buraco. A fresta virou abismo, engoliu o rei e seu navio. No fundo do mar, ele se transforma. Agora ornamentado com uma pena de guará, tem o sangue dos povos dominados ardendo em suas veias. O rei está virado para o lado de cá. Ele é o carvão do mangue, a pata do caranguejo, o cortejo. O encanto mudou a direção das correntes. O sopro do vento é o sussurro do encantado. O Atlântico é água, sal, ferro e sangue. Lugar de morte, calunga. É caminho sem volta. Sebastião deixou o mundo dos vivos para habitar o invisível. Em pensamento ou sonho, na forma de gente, bicho ou acidente geográfico. O encantado fez o seu trabalho. Renasce sob nós. Livre das limitações da forma humana, abandona sua brutalidade e agora tem coragem para caminhar pelas dunas de areia, onde ele aparece nas noites de lua como um touro negro com uma estrela na testa, uma serpente ou um jovem nobre em seu cavalo branco. Desaparecer não é morrer. O buraco está aberto. É o povo quem faz o encanto, torce a memória da história, encanta na brincadeira de cura. Sebastião foi atravessado pelo canto dos caboclos, batizado no coro do tambor, transformado pelas águas. O rei não vai voltar. Um rei que vive a serviço da cura do seu povo faz a expansão colonial às avessas. O buraco não é a ausência do monumento, é a morada do rei encantado. É campo de atração do olhar, perpétua interrogação e potência. O contrário da vida é o desencanto. O rei está encantado.
Hi, thank you for coming. Hi. Hello, I'm Luisa. I'm going to talk a little bit just for to give you some context about the video that you just saw. It is a video which is called The Whole. It is a working in process. We are doing this video since October 2018. And we shot this, Gabriel, Simi, and I, who is my collaborator in this project. We shot in Lisbon, in Portugal, in the last October. And this is a part of a bigger project which started in 2014. And it is about the mythology of King Don Sebastian in Portugal, because Brazil was colonized by Portuguese in 1500, and I'm going to show you in the 16th century. I'm going to share the screen with you.
Yeah.
So you can follow with me with some images, and then I can explain a little bit about the context of the project, and then we can have some a broader view of what you just saw. So yeah, Portugal was the colonizer of Brazil, and also by many African and other American and other countries in India and also in China. So I have this brief presentation, which is kind of like describing all of the projects so far. But first, I'm going to show you the map. Sorry. First, I'm going to show you a map from the Portuguese Empire in the 16th century, just for you to have a clue of the size of the Portuguese Empire in the 16th century. This is the image of my project, which is an artistic book that I created in 2015. It was the first thing that we did in this project. So here it's one of the illustrations of the book. And then you can see the domain of Spain and Portugal at the time. So you can see that here, everything here was dominated by the Portuguese. And also this is Brazil over here. If you don't know Brazil, here is Brazil. And also the rest of Latin America. And interesting that there was this king in 1554. He was born to be like the savior of the Portuguese Empire. So everybody was kind of like waiting for him to be born. And after he was born, he was raised by Jesuits, Catholic priests, to be that. This is an image of the project, yes. He was raised by Jesuits, and he was pretty much invested on expansion of colonial empire. And there was this point where he went to a battle in Morocco. He was 24 years old, and he decided to join a battle in the north of Morocco with Muslims there, the Mulay Moluku and Muhammad Maluku. He decided to join the battle and to dispute the territory of North Morocco. But then, when he was in the battle, he disappeared, and people could never find his body, and people could never had any news about him. So around the world, many religions and also cultural festivities and also political movements are expecting for this king to come back to restore the colonial empire, because after he was dead, after his disappearance, actually, he was people were saying that he is going to come back to save us from the domain of Spain, because after he disappeared, Portugal started to become part of the Spain empire. So the Portuguese people are waiting for him to come back, King Sebastian, and then the fact that he comes back is going to be a restoration of the colonial empire. However, there is this very tiny island in the north of Brazil that they have this religion which is called Encantaria, which means enchantment. And in the Encantaria, in the enchantment, they don't believe that the king is going to come back. They actually believe that the king, when he disappeared in the battle, he actually come inside a ship and traveled in the ocean. And then he ended up stopping in Brazil. So I'm going to show you the path. He was here in the battle. He was here in the battle, and then the legends say that he travels along the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and then he came to this island over here. just in the north of Brazil. And then this king here in this religion, he is the one walking at a beach in the form of a bull, which is this bull over here that I put in the illustration of the project. And that in the bottom of the ocean, everything like he is like living inside with other mythical creatures, and they have this whole mythical environment where the king living in the bottom of the ocean, he can help people and heal people and help for the fish to never stop coming for the fisherman. So he becomes kind of like a sort of inverse of the colonial power. So we discovered that when we went to Brazil, this is the altar of the religion, and we can see that it's very like syncretic. Here we have a Catholic saint, we have some Mauritius, we have like the saints from many different faiths, and then they all come together in this altar, which is the altar from this was the exhibition in Brazil that we did in the House of Maranhão, the House of Culture of Maranhão. And this is very nice because it is kind of like a religious environment, but also a cultural environment and also an artistic environment and a place where people can get together. So there is no separation between the sacred and the profane. It's something that is enmeshed in the everyday life. So I'm going to play just a little bit of the documentary for you, which is kind of like... The documentary is a short documentary. It has like 37 minutes. The image that I am showing to you now is just a teaser that we put some images together to show in some situations like this. And the transmission is not very good, but you can see a little bit about the environment, that they are like living in a fisherman community, and they live in houses made of wood. And all the space is built up, made of like dunes and sand and beach. So it's a very calm place. It's very beautiful, and people there are pretty much narrators and storytellers. And something that's very interesting is a labor division of the space, which is pretty much separated between like the men are the fishermen and the women are creating charcoal. So they collect the logs from the mangroves and they put in the fire, and they like gather around the fire and they put the wood there to make charcoal. So since this is a long durational project, we are like connected with this mythology and with these people of since then, and also with the people from this state who is living in Rio de Janeiro. We want to tell this story from many perspectives, always the colonial, always focusing on the philosophical aspect in the religion, and always focusing on the performance of the narrators who live there in this island and do not let the story die. So I went in Portugal. This is the photography, workshop photography that we did for the kids in the islands. So we distributed a series of analog cameras, small analog cameras, and then I taught them, the older ones, how to take photos, and I put some clothes in the smaller ones, and we did kind of like a reenactment of the Alcácer Quibir battle, where King Sebastian disappeared, and the older ones were taking pictures of the younger ones, and also of their like homes, parents. They created portraits for the families and things like that. And since it was a project that we have a public investment for the book, the artistic book, these are the drawings of the book, these and the maps that I showed you. Yeah. And since it was a project funded, here the maps, you can see they are all like in vegetable paper, and then they are part of the envelope, because we wanted to distribute a large amount of books, and it was a restricted budget. So we decided not to make like 20 artistic books, very fancy, and then to sell to people, but we decided to do something very simple that we can give to a lot of people. So we made like 500 of these publications, and we spread we gave to the community, we gave to the islanders, we gave to the people in Rio. So it's pretty much everywhere. And we went to Portugal, and in Portugal we created this object poem, which I think that is very interesting if we think about the composition of our conversation today, which is focused on the matter of feminism and also on how ritual and femininity can be a very powerful performative force, because here we have 2 millimeters of waters from the Rio Tejo, the Tejo River, which is the river which is close to the monuments of discoveries in Portugal. So it's pretty much the place where the ships and the caravels they used to sail for the colonized countries. So we go to these waters which are like historically dirty or historically polluted by the colonial past. And the charcoal generally has a very powerful characteristic of cleansing. So we brought some charcoal from the island made by these women who are also narrators, who are also spreading the story, who are also in their everyday lives promoting the colonization. And we put a little bit of water from the colonizers' port, and then we put the charcoal inside, the coal inside. So it's an object poem in order to purify the waters of the colonizers. So we give this it's a 30 tiny bottles edition, and I gave some, and I also had others with me. And something that was really nice, it was that in this year we had our project was used as a reference by the very important Sunday school who is part of the carnival in Rio. They used our project to create their plot, because in carnival in Rio we have this huge avenue which creates like a parade during carnival, and we have 13 Sunday schools who are disputing for a prize of the winner of the carnival of the year. So each year the Sunday schools need to choose and to invest in tell a story to the people who are going to be there. So it is about the parade, but it's also about a ritual of storytelling. And it's very beautiful because the Saint Sebastian, which is a Catholic saint, his day is the 20th of January, and King Sebastian was born in 20th of January. So there are a lot of historical connections between King Sebastian and Saint Sebastian. And Saint Sebastian was also the patron of Rio de Janeiro, which is my city. So all the time we see these crossroads and these interrelations between Rio de Janeiro and these other states in the north of Brazil, which is Maranhão, and between the Saint Sebastian and the King Sebastian, which is beautiful because we can see from this broad field of syncretism that are happening, because in Rio, Saint Sebastian is also related to some orishas from African heritage, and also King Sebastian being a mythological figure in Maranhão, he is also connected with some orishas who are like the African gods. So King Sebastian is at the same time African and Indigenous and Portuguese. So it's a very important figure to centralize all the formation of Brazilian culture. And I'm going to open the Instagram of the director of the carnival in Rio, because he just posted some beautiful images. So you see here, can you see the picture?
Yes.
Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the Instagram of the director of Carnival. He's a young artist. He must be like 30 something, and it's a very important accomplishment because he's this guy over here, and he is the first. He's the only black director of Carnival who is working alone in Rio this year. So they used our project, and then we decided to start a collaboration with the samba school, which was like a very prolific for both of us because we had the opportunity to bring their his drawings, which are like drawings like this that he creates for the parade, for people to dress in the parade, and then that will become things like that is what people really wear at the avenue to parade. So we brought some drawings of his to New York, and then we showed the documentary and also the drawing for the people who were there. And also we brought some very important Brazilian musicians for our generation who are singing either classical music and popular music. And so we brought them, and they made like a beautiful concert in New York next week. So and was this Sunday. I was here in the middle somewhere with a very hot clothes, parading for King Sebastian. And so he brought the samba school brought all the mythology, this one that you just saw in the video art. They brought all this mythology, the idea of living in the bottom, the idea of the enchantment, the idea that it is the community, the the communitary work and project of being together, living together, and creating culture together that put this parade to happen in such a beautiful way. So this is another allegory, and then you can see the other bulls that were there, like this. This is that our perspective, and then this is the other perspective, and then you can see that that is very crowded here, and so it's a very important movement. It's a very big, for us, it was a very important thing to be part of all this. And I think that the most important thing about the video that you just watched, these are like my something that was very important for us when we did this documentary. It was the specific idea of the femininity as an inversion of the coloniality, because we were doing this research for a long time, for 5 years, and we were going to Portugal, and we were researching what we are going to talk about this figure who has a very strong meaning in Portugal and such a different meaning in Brazil. And then we discovered the Rocio station, which is a very important and traditional train station that is in Lisbon, in the center of Lisbon. And then we got to know that a man, a 24-year-old man, which is the same age that the king disappeared, he's probably motivated by the same type of vanity for taking a selfie. And like the king wanted to conquest and wanted to be like very important, and he was very full of himself. The same type of feeling that motivates a young man to destroy a public monument. And also the representation and the importance of thinking about monuments as a very significant part of the colonial enterprise, and how the destruction of this monument, the carving of this whole, creates an inversion of the idea of the monument and opens up a series of questions that makes us think what would be there if the colonizer wasn't there to conquest. Yeah. So I think that the moment that we could like that, and it's something that it's very, if you could like notice from the video, that the Afro-Brazilian native religions in Brazil are pretty much their method is and incorporation, which means that we have the goddess that go inside the body of the person. They have some specific archetypes that goes inside the body of the person, and then the body of the person gets dominated by the force, by this invisible force that has specific characteristics. And then the bodies of the people who incorporate these spirits, they act differently. So in the video, we kind of like developed, we took like a poetic license, as we used to say in Portuguese, to understand that maybe this guy destroying the monument was actually the King Sebastian, the enchanted King Sebastian, incorporating in the man and creating the colonial gesture from the possession of the body of this tourist who was there only to take a selfie. So it's kind of like there's a little bit of humor and a little bit of feminist perspective when you think about the imagination in the creation of a whole in a position of the protuberance of the monument with like solid and usually like phallic formatted and everything like that. So we brought some objects from the islands and we did a little like some small tiny programs of positions of the objects that are full of the indexicality of these people, these narrators, and the sea and the salt and all the atmosphere from Maranhão, from the island, and then we brought to Portugal, and then we create a video from which the activation of these objects in very specific positions could be this idea to vibrate, the idea that the destruction of a monument, it is also a possibility of to think colonization differently, which is also already what people are doing in this small communities, even though they are not discussing it in theoretical and conceptual terms as we are, but they are living this in their everyday lives. So I think that's a beautiful complementation of like what we learn from them and what we learn from other religious people in the past, and how this specific type of ritual can be either a special way to celebrate our ancestors in festivities like Carnival, which happens like once a year and only for 4 days, but also a part of the everyday life. So that's it.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I don't know if that is, because I know that's a lot of context because you need to have
to process a little
huge
bit.
Perspective. A huge perspective of history of Brazil and history of Portugal, and also this very specific theology. That like activating, but the most important part is that the community there is the division of labor is very fair, and people are living without the capitalist control. It's a place there is no police. It's a place there is no hospital. There is no water flowing. So it's a space where people are at the same time living in the model that we would call poverty. However, they have such a different way of experimenting the world, which is not possible to call poverty because they have other perspectives, which is to have a good life. So I think that this is our big lesson. And that's why we are for almost 10 years trying to keep King Sebastian and his history and the history of his family living in the bottom of the ocean and only going to be in touch with humans where he appears in the form of a black bull or in the form of a snake, because this is what happens with when the entity, the spirits are not incorporated in humans. They are assuming the form of animals or rivers or trees. So from this, you can see the importance of the nature and the connection with the elements of the nature in the life of the community. Because if the water is God, we are not going to mess up with the water. So
we do, but it will come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of context in that, and like a lot of specialized knowledge like we might not have in Athens. So I think we can start with questions. So if there's anyone has a question, or I can start, and then if you come up with something. So what I was thinking, like you discussed about a lot of religion practices, and and your work is informed with a lot of decolonial practice. And my question is, how do you feel about this decolonial artistic practice being inside big colonial institutions in New York that you are currently living, for example?
For me, the way that I understand, either in States or I can say like why am I at the United States, which is part of your question for sure. In Brazil, I never searched for being in big institutions. It was never my goal of career in being in museums or galleries. I always worked with the micropolitics. However, there was a moment in Brazil have a leftist government and a lot of like investment for culture. So if you had a good project in 2015, you could send your project and budget, and like you find yourself an exhibition space, and you can do your thing with the support of the government. You don't need to address big institutions. But right now it's not like that anymore. And I understand that a lot of things that we go to, Greeks know better than anyone else in the world that if you go to any big museum, what you're going to see is our things that were stolen by them, that are going to be displayed there, giving money to their institutions. So yes, and then why this is not with us? Why are we not taking care of this so we can have money? So I understand that my decision of being in either working at MoMA right now or being an MIU student, it is I have my projects that I need to do. Brazil have a very difficult moment politically right now and culturally, and like everything is very bad. And I need the money to bring to my people to keep doing what we are doing.
Yeah.
So I am there because I have the opportunities and the possibilities to take as much of that money that I can to bring back to my people, to my country.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of like on and against, a thief relationship, and all these types of things. That's kind of like a reverse of the process. Because if we occupy the city and if we start to fight for the resources, maybe we can deviate and take back just a little bit in small scale micropolitics, and then we can give back to people. I want to come back to Maranhão now, and I want to give back to the community.
Yeah. Thank you.
In dollars, like.
Yeah. So, does anyone have a question? Another question for Luisa? Otherwise, we can. I have one more question, and then we can end the call so we can continue, I think.
Okay.
So, I was also like to know your thoughts about the interdisciplinarity of your work, because you're combining academic research, field research, performance, video art, I mean, you have many forms of expressions. So how do you think, how do you combine all these forms of expression, and do you think that contemporary art institutions right now are looking for this kind of interdisciplinarity? How this is comprehended by? Can you hear me? So how this is comprehended by public, by your audience, that you're like in between of so many things.
I think that here in the School of Visual Arts of Rio, we had a very strong background in either European and North American contemporary art, and from I think that the most important thing that we learn is to live in the precarity, and at the same time to live the precariousness, work with very few resources, and at the same time create things that are very effective aesthetically and very effective conceptually. So I understand that sometimes you have like something to say in this project. For example, I have other projects which are also performance and artistic books and etc. But in this project, for example, it was important to have to bring a message for the people from living in Rio, but people who were from Maranhão, who were living in Rio for 30 years, and he wanted to know what was going on there now. So we went there, and what we're going to do, we're going to record the documentary. If I did like a drawing of the people or a painting of the population, people would not be able to understand what was really going on there. So I believe that interdisciplinarity is a form of being addressing to what the concept of the project is asking, way more than from a demand of the institution. Because I really think that painters are like are very like in a sense that they are very like more open to this institutional game, because you're creating an object that you can sell, and an object that you can trade, and an object that people are going to look to the object and they are going to say this was made by the artist and I think that's something that my work cannot, people can never know in my work. I don't have a style, because I'm not making products. I am creating I'm creating a materiality, which is a mediatic materiality, and I am creating language and developing language, but it's always according to the necessity of the history that I want to tell at that moment. So it's not something that I was like concerned, and it was a very important decision of become a scholar and work in academia. It is okay. I'm going to do this because be a professor. Become a professor is something that I really think that it's an important performative work. I see be a professor as a work of a performer. So it's a way for me to be a performer without depending on selling my work. So I never sold my work. I don't have like a piece that I sold someone, a collector. I don't want this. I have ideas, and then I found people who believe in these ideas and who want to participate or collaborate or fund these ideas to do histories and to do the history of people to come to the fore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. There's no other question, I think. I can do a lot of questions, but we can do it another time. So, thank you so much for the presentation. And
thank you. I hope you had a very nice day, interesting day. Alex and Nelly are amazing. I wish I was there to see what they're going to say.
I wish next time you're going to be here in Athens. Okay, thank you
very much. Bye-bye.